If anybody has a question, like during the middle of this whole thing, I mean, don't hesitate. I'm not going to ask you to go on mute or anything. I mean, if you got a question, you want to talk about something while I'm going through it on the slides, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So today we're going to talk about growing your membership through pricing differentials, and this is something that I think is really important for all of us to look at as far as proving more return on investment for our members. So with that, um, I would encourage everybody to think about, okay, every one of your events, every one of your products, every one of your services, what is the pricing differential between?
No worries whatsoever, period. I know the pace you keep,
Okay,
comma, so
got to put
I figured
somebody on mute, guys.
I'm happy.
Whoever's
Just
talking,
good luck with the Jacksonville.
got it. Okay, that was Brian. Okay, so anyway, looking at this, I think that we should look at this for everything that we're doing because the and I'll talk about antitrust at the end, um, because the within reason, the greater differential is going to show members more value. Before we get going too far, I just wanted to mention to you, related, but just a little bit of a left turn. I have a workshop on my website, rigsby.com, workshops for association executives. This was by Mark Stiving, PhD, on pricing strategies. This workshop is free. All you have to do is go in and register. It's you can watch it anytime you want. If you watch the whole thing, take the test at the end, you'll get a certificate, and it counts towards CAE education. But I think Mark did a really, really good job. He presented for my CEO group, my Tuesday CEO group, and then afterwards we recorded this workshop. And I would encourage everybody to take a look at that. It's related, but not exactly. But I think there's good information there. So what I really want you to think about, and my guess is a lot of you are already doing this, so I may be just reaffirming what you already know, and that's okay, is that, you know, our members need to see that through their membership, that that everything they access, they're getting a better deal than the non-member. And 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 that becomes, I think sometimes it's a real challenge with the board of directors and getting the board to understand this and be on board, because too many board members think, oh, we're going to grow our organization by making our conference real inexpensive for non-members. No, you won't. That's not going to happen. Those non-members are just going to take advantage, and you're going to devastate your member value. So, in everything you do, you know what can be the differential. And for those of us on the call that belong to ASAE, I got to say, I think ASAE does this really, really well because whenever they offer some kind of a free webinar or this or that or the other, they make you register, which is okay. And they show you as a member, your price is free, but a non-member price would be X, whatever X is, you know, $50 or something like that, or $99 or something. So every time I using ASA as an example, every time I register for something, it's a reminder to me that my membership is getting me this workshop for free, which a non-member would have to pay for. And it's just a really, really good reminder to members of the value of their membership. Um, why I've talked about this tool before, this member this ROI membership recruitment tool, but the thing is, if you measure the value of membership in actual dollar numbers, um, but before that, if you make sure that all of your products and services, there's a really strong differential, then the value number, the perceived value number, and the actual value number is going to be higher. And if you're going to put a brochure like this together, whether you do it print or digital, I mean, you'd like to have the numbers as high as possible. The thing also, I would throw everybody to think about your meetings. I think that it's not that hard to increase the perceived value beyond just the differential. Okay, so your annual meeting or whatever meeting, we'll just take the annual meeting example. Let's say it's $1,000. Let's say a non-member, it's $800 or $750, something like that. So that differential is the actual hard value. But I think you can go further. I think that you can do things like, do you have on your in your badge at your conference, does it say, with the acronym before, ASAE member? Not saying that you put non-member on a badge because that's kind of being mean, but just to identify the member and let everybody know that they are a member. That creates value in a lot of person's heads, and it's only one more line on the badge, and your printer can probably do it already. Or I'll even just say, uh, the badge holders, a lot of the companies like PC Name Tag and others, they'll have a badge holder with a place where you can put an extra piece in that can say member. So that's very cool. The other thing is I would encourage you to look. Do you have at your annual meeting or any of your events? Do you have a member only event and or a member only educational section? Because in addition to the perceived differential of the registration, there's an additional differential that there's special events that is only for them. And then this last one, this may or may not apply to you, but if it's applicable, if you have an expo at your annual meeting, if you can go to now one of the things that I'm going to back up just a little bit. One of the things a lot of people have a problem, a lot of associations have a problem with, is getting their members to attend the expo each day. Because obviously the vendors, sponsors, whatever you call them, they want people in the expo hall. So I've advised to a lot of my clients over the years, get the vendors to offer a special member only deal, member only discount, member only, and only make it available the last day of the expo, 3/4 of the way into the expo. So whatever time it starts and ends, think of 3/4 of the way through that day. The challenge is you've got to get your vendors to agree to, no, even when your best client comes and says, hey, I can't, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but can I have the deal? You got to somehow get him to say, sorry, this is a special deal that we've agreed with the organization. And now you're making it even more valuable for your supplier members because they're having people the last day, and you're making it even more valuable, more member ROI for your functional members or your industry members because they're getting a special deal. Just something to think about. If you do have an expo, it actually works out really, really well. Again, if you can get your vendors to play ball. I want to just spend a couple of minutes cautioning you. I am not a lawyer. I'm very far from it. So this is not legal advice. This is just what I learned studying for my CAE. And those of you that have a CAE, you probably already know this because you probably learned it too, but I think it's worth just talking about it. That we cannot compel membership in the price of a product or service. So if membership is $200 and the differential between a member and non-member is $200, we're compelling membership in the price of a product or service. For those of us, like especially if you have a professional society and membership's only $150 or something like that, that creates real interesting problems in pricing. However, know that this is not cumulative. It's not the difference for all products and services. It's per product and service. So that differential, whatever it may be, can be for every individual product and service. And then the last thing is the IRS won't tell us what the differential should be. God bless them for not being definitive, but most of the people that I've talked to and discussed this about say if you're somewhere around 75 to 80% of the differential per product or service, you're probably okay. So that's something to think about. I want to remind you about, and I want to remind you about always the recordings for these sessions are going to be at rigsby.com/member or member.roi-zoom-recordings. So the invitation is always here. All of the recordings are always here. The password to get into the recordings at Zoom is always here. So this can be your headquarters, and feel free to share this website. It's totally okay with me. Does anybody have any comment or question? I'm going to go and let me just real quick. I'm going to grab this link and throw it in the chat, and then I'll come right back. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Here's the okay. There's the link. Okay, so hold on. Let me see what we got here. Jeff says 4 months in a new gig. We have done a good job of selling annual meeting content. Okay, yeah, CE, sure, that's absolutely. Now the window's closed for sales. I'm placing selected content on our website for member-only viewing. Good. No CEs. Besides that, hey, Jeff? Did you check with whoever gives the CEs if you can have the content on the website with the test at the end to CEs?
Yeah, my fearless number 2 said when we applied for it, I think it was a window and it was for the whole year.
Mm.
And so we don't have the option of offering CEs. And it almost seems like you can get CEs everywhere now for nurse practitioners. I don't think it holds as big a premium as it used to be. But, I'm hoping it gets a few eyeballs. Plus, we all know that the minority of our members actually go to the meeting. So if a member logs in, sees a couple sessions, and well, this is pretty interesting, maybe they'll come to the meeting next year.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anybody else have a question about anything I shared? If not, you know what I'd like to do?
And I don't have a question. I have a comment,
Go for it.
a kind of a thought, particularly because you mentioned ASAE. So I'm an ASA member through my organization that pays for the